Hi, my name is Kate Williams and I'm an Assistant Vice President in the Infrastructure team at GIC. So GIC is the Singapore's sovereign wealth funds. So our job is to invest and manage the reserves of Singapore. So making long-term investments in both public and private markets. I specifically sit in the infrastructure team. So we make investments into infrastructure companies and assets, ranging from transport assets such as airports and roads to energy, water, waste, and now ranging into more weird and wonderful things such as digital assets, modular real estate, anything that's sort of stable, long-term cash flows, which is downside protected. In terms of what qualifications or training that you need to become an assistant vice president at GIC, so I personally studied commerce economics in Australia and then went on to study my chartered accountancy exams. However, there is a lot of on-the-job training and people do come from a lot of diverse backgrounds. Typically, most people come in with a few years of sort of finance or accounting or consulting experience somewhere else. But that being said, if you had more technical experience such as engineering, that would always be useful as well for an infrastructure type role. So to use a cliche, I guess no 2 days are the same. We're now in a hybrid working model in London. So as a result, obviously as a result of multiple lockdowns from COVID, so we're still sort of readjusting to the new norm. So typically I come into the office 2-3 days a week. Have my day, regardless of location, is split between working on transactions and managing the investments or the assets that we're invested in. A significant portion of my time is spent analysing new deals and opportunities. So that's looking at potential companies or assets that we could invest in, trying to understand if it's an attractive business, if it's been performing well, what the sort of risks and opportunities are if we were to take it forward. What do I most like about working here? So it's really the opportunity to work with such a high quality team within GIC. So most of the people within my team have had experience elsewhere within the infrastructure industry. And then within GIC, it's got such a global reach. So on a day-to-day basis, I feel like we get to interact with really impressive people, quite senior people, despite the fact that I'm still relatively junior. And I also like the fact that our team comes from really diverse backgrounds. So despite the fact that we're based in London, our team is greatly culturally diverse. So I'm Australian, but there's Italians, Russians, Chinese, Latvians. We're barely duplicating nationality, which means in terms of doing deals, we've got such different cultural backgrounds and mindsets that we can tackle problems in different ways. And it also makes for just a much more interesting time having a much more diverse team. There are, I guess, obvious sort of technical competencies that are useful, such as be able to critically think, background in financial modelling or strong mathematic background. But I also think what differentiates people that kind of outperform or do really well is a lot of the more soft skills. So I think you really need to be quite proactive, happy to ask questions, really make sure that you take the initiative to make sure that you understand what you're doing and what the implications are of a right or wrong answer, so that you're not just sort of going with the flow. You definitely need to sort of be someone that's able to take responsibility for what you're doing and take a lot of ownership. I think that's the softer side of things is definitely more what differentiates the kind of good performers and the great performers in my opinion.